and welcome to Community Candor. My name is Renee Kent. I am the Director of Special Projects here at Communities First, your host as we kick off Show Me the Money Day season, which is also a kickoff to tax season. And I am super excited to be here with you today and this great panel of guests that we have as we get ready to talk about taxes, and get you prepared for the upcoming tax season. So just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started and introduce our great panel. We have a participant survey that we're asking viewers to please complete. All of the questions are, some of them are of a personal nature, so complete it as you are comfortable. That information helps us to know who we're serving and how we can serve you better. In addition to providing that great resource to us, you will be entered to win a gift card. So it's a win-win. Information for us, potential gift card for you. Thank you so much. Quick note as well, we are live, so if you are catching us while we're live, you can ask us questions. Put them in the chat. We've got some well-experienced tax professionals on with us who will answer your questions on this live session. So feel free to put them out there. Don't be scared. No, if you have a question about it, somebody else might have a question about it as well. We want to share those information and resources. All right, so let's dig in and get started. Let me introduce our esteemed panel that we have here. We've got Mr. A.C. Brown. If you could please let the audience know who you are, your background, and the organization that you represent.
Sure. Thank you, Renee. This is A.C. Brown. If you follow me on social media, I'm known as AC the CPA. I am the CEO of John L. Financial Services, a component of the John L. Group, located right in the city of Flint. We're a full service accounting and CPA firm. Renee, I think this is my fourth. Is this my fourth panel? I think this is my fourth panel. I think we started like in 2020 and then we kind of kept it going. So yeah, no, I'm excited. It's always, one on my to-do list is the kickoff thing. So I'm excited about having another opportunity to share with the beautiful people in the community.
We're excited that you're here. Thank you. And we have Ms. Carla Hart, who has joined us. If you could, again, please share who you are and your background and a little bit about the organization you represent.
Yes, my name is Carla Hart. I am with Wayne Metro Community Agency. I've been with the tax program over 3 years. This is going to be my fourth tax season. And it's always excited because you're always learning and you're always helping out the community. And that's what Wayne Metro do. Wayne Metro help out the community to save money, right? So that's what we're doing.
That's great. And we appreciate you taking the time out to join us and share those resources with the community. So we know that taxes can be a little stressful sometimes. There are, aside from those on this panel, there are a few people that get excited when tax season rolls around, even though we know it comes every year. It can be a bit of a hassle, right? Sometimes you have to chase down documents, W-2s, 1099s, whatever, paperwork you need. There's uncertainty sometimes knowing if you're going to owe. Nobody wants to owe the IRS. And there can be some discomfort with, who you should trust in doing your taxes and things like that. And how much it's going to cost you. So we're looking forward to this lively discussion because we know at the end of which you may not be excited about the upcoming tax season, but you will be well prepared. You're going to have some information and resources, and you're going to know who to go to and what to do. So that'll hopefully ease some of your stress. All right. So usually we get started with who has to file and some of those details. But today I wanted to switch it up a little bit and talk about free money because I heard there was like some checks going to be cut. And I think we should start there. There was an announcement that um, state of Michigan is expanding their earned income tax credit, and people are going to get checks mailed out in February. I think we should start there. What does that mean? And who's that going to, and how is that going to work?
Yeah. So Renee, thank you. I would take that question. So yes, there was an announcement that the state of Michigan was going to expand the earned income credit. Um, so if you were eligible for the earned income credit in 2022, so you received the earned income credit at the federal level, you may have also received the earned income credit at the state level. The state piggybacks on the federal. In prior years, it was only 6%. So whatever your federal earned income credit amount was, the state matched that at 6% of that cost. The state announced that they're going to expand that from 6% to 30%. Okay, so whatever your federal earned income credit was in 2022, the state is going to increase that by 24%. So you're going to get 30% of that amount. Now, the great news is that there's nothing that you need to do as a taxpayer. The state will automatically send those payments out. Now, they're going to send that via a check. Okay, so they're going to send that via check. If you have moved from your address last year, you need to go to the Michigan Treasury Department website. That's michigan.gov/treasury, and you need to update your address. So if you've moved, and I'm telling you, the federal government went through this painful process with the stimulus payments, because anytime you base a payment on a prior year tax return, the taxpayer may or may not be living present at that address. So if you have moved, please contact the state of Michigan Treasury Department and update your address. They are slated to uh, send those checks out starting the week of February 13th. Okay. So that's the start date. That's not necessarily when you may not get your check on the 13th. They're saying they're going to send it out starting on the 13th. So we learned this through the stimulus. It may take them a couple of weeks for you. It may take you a couple of weeks to receive your payment. But as long as they have an accurate record, accurate address, you should receive it in a timely manner. And that's if you filed your 2022 tax return. If you have not filed your 2022 tax return last year, you can do so still, and you will receive the expanded amount, refund amount. I know that certain software companies have updated their prior year softwares to automatically do this. It's still in testing, so we're going to kind of experience a little bit of the same thing we did with the stimulus. But tax professionals, we've been here. That's the beautiful thing, is that we've been here already. So we will work along with the state to help you get your money back.
Now, so we have a question that came in. Is there an option for direct deposit, or for this particular check, it's going to be mailed out no matter
Yeah,
what?
yeah. This particular one, the state has elected to mail them out. Like I said, there was a lot of things we learned during the stimulus, and one of the things that may not be talked about is what we learned when the stimulus payment was based off of the prior year tax return is certain tax preparers have mechanisms to where you can have your fees taken out of your refund. So if you go to a paid tax preparer, that paid tax preparer partners with a third party bank. That third party, so your refund is actually going to a third party bank. The third party bank then takes a fee out and they split. They send the preparer his or her fee, and then you get the rest. What we found out is that the direct deposit account that's on your tax return is not your actual bank and deposit information. So I believe that the state recognized that, and they're better off sending you a paper check that you will have to sign and deposit, as opposed to trusting that you have your bank account on that tax return.
That makes sense. So I just want to repeat for the audience, michigan.gov/treasury is where you will go
I
to
have
update your
I do
address.
no I have to make a correction. It is
Okay.
actually the IITE services. I will try to put that link and get that link to you, but it's not it's an aspect of the Treasury Department, but I can put a better link to that designation, to that destination rather.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So we'll get
Mhm.
that in the chat. So folks will have the link that they can use if they need to update their address. And question, I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, Mr. Brown. During
Yes.
stimulus time, folks were able to go online and see if they qualified for a stimulus, the status of it, and when it was coming. Will that aspect be available for this particular um, disbursement through the state of Michigan website? Do we know that yet?
Um, so I don't see. So the qualification, the qualifier will be if you receive if you receive the earned income credit last year. So the best thing for you to do is to look at your 2022 tax return. If you have it on file, if you have it, hopefully you have it. You can look at your last year's tax return, and if you received a Michigan earned income credit, there's literally nothing that you have to do except for making sure that you have your address updated. You know, if you qualified last year for it and you file for it, then you'll get your tax return, your expanded refund. If you did not file last year and you think you qualify for the earned income credit, then I would encourage you to seek out a tax preparer or tax professional that could file that 2022 tax return for you. And then you could qualify. You'd still receive your income.
Got it. Now, if somebody filed their federal return last year but not their state,
Yeah, yeah. So if you filed your federal but not your state, you can file your state. It's just simple as that. Um, I know yeah. So the short answer is yes. If you didn't file your 2022 tax return, state of Michigan tax return, and you want to do that, you can certainly do that. You have that option.
okay. All right. Thank you. So
Mhm.
that was a lot of information, but that's important. I mean,
Yeah,
because we want
absolutely.
to make sure that if people qualify for that refund, they know what to do. to access it. So
Yeah, I
we'll
think
make
that
sure.
one last thing is one of the statistics that we talk about for people. I think the last I read last year was like 23 or 24% of eligible recipients of the earned income credit never file and to qualify for it. So even if you think you may not qualify, you may qualify. The EIC, the earned income credit, has it's income based, but you know, the best thing to do is to file what you have. File every year, file what you have. Even if you don't think you qualify, you may end up qualifying. But 24% of eligible recipients of the EIC never file. So you could literally be leaving money on the table.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
That is a lot of money. And we definitely don't want people to do that. So that's a good segue into our next conversation, Carla. Um, can you talk about who's required to file? Um,
Yes, absolutely. So for a single dependent who are under the 60 years and not blind, generally must file a federal income tax return. If you have unearned income, so as dividends, Social Security, there was more than $1,250. If your earned income, such as wages, salary, was more than 13,000, of course you are eligible to do it. If you're not required to file, make sure you're not leaving a refund on the table. So that was the 24% that we were talking about. People leaving money on the table. We don't want that. And piggyback what Mr. Brown was saying, if you didn't do your taxes last year, Way Metro can do your taxes. We do 3 years back, so you can take advantage of that too.
Yeah, that's
that
that's great information to know. I didn't know that you all prepared prior
Yeah,
year tax returns. That's
yeah,
awesome.
3 years.
Yep, great.
yeah, and that's a free service. I just want
Yes,
to
yes, no
highlight that.
cost, no
Yeah.
cost.
So
Mhm.
if for the last 3 years you have been uncertain about whether or not you should file, Wayne Metro is a good resource for you to set up an appointment. Um, Now, is it correct to say that the appointments will focus on folks that need to file for this year and
So
back, or you do both right now?
So right now in the tax season, so the good thing about Way Metro is that we're not a season preparers. We do taxes all year round. So what that means? That means that in tax season we focus on the current year, right? On 23. However, in the whole round year, we can do this year and the prior years.
That's great. So that's great information for people to know. Um, and just a quick question: if you're filing a past return, um, are there always penalties involved?
So it depends, because if you owe, automatically you will have penalties, right? So, and if you don't owe, and it depends on the years too, because like even if you claim 2022 on 2023, you're gonna get all the loss from 22, if it makes sense what I'm saying. So you're gonna get what is for that year that you're doing. So
Hmm.
everything's gonna be based on that year.
Yep.
And does Wayne Metro provide assistance or make referrals for people who need assistance in dealing with uh, amounts that they may owe, working out payment arrangements, things like that?
Yes. So our tax preparer, they guide the clients through the whole process. So they go with them in the IRS, and they can do like step by step, like this is how you set up an account, these are your options, and this is how you can do it. However, we live that we give them the information, but not everybody's prepared at that moment to set up a payment plan. But we provide the information for them.
That's fantastic. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the services that Wayne Metro provides, but I just want to respond to a question that came in the chat. Wayne Metro is specific to what regions?
So Wayne Metro has a specific. We have around 75 programs, and a lot of programs are for specific cities, like the city of Detroit, the city of Hamtramck. But income tax, it don't have a specific city, so it's all around Michigan. So you can be in Flint, and we can be assisting you.
Thank you. That's great information. And so I'll just highlight that in the chat, we are including resources that are mentioned during the conversation, but we're also including contact information for Mr. Brown's organization and for Ms. Hart's organization, where you can connect with professionals to talk about your tax needs. And so that's a great segue into our next section, where we're hoping to talk a little bit more about the benefits of working with a tax advisor. Should you do this on your own? Should you engage a professional? And whatever you decide, how can you be, well equipped to make that decision? And I'm hoping that Mr. Brown can walk us through that process.
Yeah, no, I thank you for that. And I tell people, who ask me this question, well, do I need a tax preparer? Do I need a CPA? I can file on my own. You can actually do whatever you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable doing. If you feel comfortable filing your tax return yourself, then you certainly have that right. When you file your own tax return yourself, you become 100% liable for whatever is filed. Okay. So I do want you to know that you're taking on all the risk for that particular tax return. If you utilize a third-party preparer, such as Wayne Metro or myself or an experienced accountant, tax preparer, every paid tax preparer that has a preparer tax identification number, okay, is required to, at minimum, go through 20 hours of continuing professional education on the updates for the 2023 tax year. So the IRS is, if you're looking for a tax preparer, you're going to want them to be an eligible tax preparer. The IRS, in order for you to get a preparer tax identification number, you have to complete certain hours of CPE, and you also have to pass an annual competency test. Okay. So if you're asking someone to prepare your tax return, they should at least have that. Okay. The IRS also allows attorneys and CPAs and enrolled agents as qualified people to prepare tax returns. As a CPA, I'm required to have 40 hours of CPE every year. Some of those is in auditing, some of those is in accounting, but in my profession, it's primarily tax based. So I'm utilizing a lot of my credits towards taxation. So you go to a company like Wayne Metro, or you go through VITA. Those VITA volunteers are likely also going through that same type of continuing professional education. That means hopefully you're utilizing someone with some credentials, and not just the person that's doing it out their basement and they're not signing the tax return. Okay, so when do you engage help? When you're stuck. If there's something that you don't understand, If there's something that you can't figure out, that's the time to really engage a professional. If you have, this may be your first year, you started off as a hobby and now it's turned into a business, and you've got to file business tax, you got to file a business tax return. What do I do with that? Well, you could file on your own, or you can consult with a paid a professional to help guide you through that. So if at any point that you get stuck on your tax return, preparing your tax return, and I know even certain softwares, they have a, a professional online ready to assist you, to answer questions, etc. All of these are all accommodations to help the individual file their tax return. So yeah, you should ask about the fees if they're paid preparer, whether or not you qualify for, because you may or may not qualify for the free tax service that's offered by Wayne Metro. You may be over that income threshold. The IRS has, they've got a pilot program now where they're trying to get you to file directly with them. You could file your tax return directly with the IRS. You don't have to even use a third party software system. You can use theirs. Unfortunately, you're not eligible in the state of Michigan for that program. But all in all, the answer to your question is, at the point that you get stuck and you absolutely just don't want to make a mistake, seek additional help.
That's helpful. I just want to highlight a couple of points that you made, particularly with regards to affordability. If you have a question or something has changed, in your life that's making your taxes more complicated, you don't have to go it alone, and it's really not as affordable as you think to ask a professional for some assistance. I think oftentimes we do things on our own because we invent the cost of something, right? Versus what the actual cost is. And, the cost could be you owing the IRS and paying penalties and things like that for just not reaching out and talking to someone who could have helped you. So let's avoid that. Talk to professionals. There's free assistance available. And I also wanted to highlight something that you may have mentioned, but I think comes up often in our conversations in the community, is that we see a lot of these tax vendors popping up on, corner shops, and they're there for, 2 months and then they're gone. And there's tons of commercials, there's tons of flyers, we're in the neighborhood temporarily, right? To do your taxes, charge you as much as we can, and then we get out, right? And these are oftentimes, educated, competent people, but the key is making sure you're working with somebody who is ethical, right? So if at any time you are getting your taxes done by somebody and they're not putting their name on your form, that's a red flag. If they are suggesting that you do something on your taxes that did not happen, they're suggesting phantom business income, meaning business income you didn't have so that you can get a bigger return, that's a red flag. If they're suggesting anything that is made up so that you can get a bigger return, don't do it. That's a red flag. And if you are paying for the tax preparation and you qualify for free tax preparation, that's a red flag. So things to keep in mind, because it may result in a couple of extra dollars now, but you could be paying for it in the long run. And we have seen people targeted and want to make sure that you have that information and avoid that at all costs, because it could affect not only how much you owe the IRS, but it could also impact your housing, your health care, and other benefits that you have as well. So things to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So go
Renee,
ahead.
can I just add something, and maybe Carla can hop in as well. So just so the IRS has a long arm reach. The IRS exists to protect the revenues of the United States government. So if you're falsifying a tax return, or if you're allowing your preparer to falsify a tax return, ultimately you become responsible, and the IRS is going to hold you accountable, irrespective to what the preparer did. You are going to be held responsible and liable for any damages that the IRS may find, including jail time. I say this every year because it's true. Al Capone did not go to jail for murder. He went to jail for tax evasion. Okay, so that's how important taxes are and proper reporting of taxes are to the United States government and the federal government. So just be cognizant of how you it's nothing wrong with having someone take a look. If you qualify, certainly go and see Carla at Wayne Metro. Take advantage of the free services. If you are looking for additional services that maybe Wayne Metro cannot compensate, then you have other professional organizations out there and professionals that are able to assist you as well. So I'm just letting you know there are implications when you talk about healthcare. If you've understated your income and you receive those healthcare premiums, guess what? You're going to have to pay that back.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. And that we are saying like the self preparation is, is you're right, you can do it, right? But why not, if the service is out, go to a professional. It's not only about the mistakes, it's sometimes just not clicking a button is taking you out $1,500,
Mhm.
$500. You don't know, right? Because you're not an expert in the area. And that's why we come to the page, right? And right now, Way Metro, the cap to have our free service is 63,000 in person. However, we have like a self prepare link that is until 79,000. Now, what that means? That means that if you come to one of our locations, and we see that you are like in those 72,000, we can't serve you in person because that is the cap. It's over the cap. However, we're gonna provide you the link and we're gonna stay by your side. You're gonna put the information, but I'm gonna review to make sure that you're not putting nothing wrong because we want to avoid that. We
Right.
want people to get their taxes correct. We want them, to avoid doing things that they're wrong without, want to do it. It was a mistake. And if we're there and we can help, of course we're gonna do it. That's why
Absolutely.
we're here for.
So, so that's a good segue into our next discussion, because we want to learn more about who is eligible for to participate in the free tax VITA site preparation. Not only that, but uh, what documents are needed, what should people be gathering, and what is the process? How is it, online, virtual? So if you could tell us a little bit more about the tax services that are provided and how people qualify and access them.
Correct. So the cap for the VITA program is 63,000, right? That 63,000, it will be married jointly or single, separate. However, it will be the 63,000 will be the cap at all. um, we offer our services in person. We love to be with our clients and having that, relationship with them, having them provide the best thing of them. And one of the things that I love the most about the VITA program is that your returns are not going to be on the hands of one person. It's not only one pair of eyes that is looking the accuracy on your return. It's gonna be two persons. So a person's gonna prepare your return, and another person's gonna review that everything is accurate. It will be with you like, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct. Are you okay? It's true. We put two jobs that you had this year. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Continue. Do you approve this is accurate? Yes, and then you sign. That is the best, the thing that I love about my program. Because in the past, before I was a preparer, I did my taxes and I didn't know what I was signing. I just knew the amount that I was getting and I was happy with that. And at the end, 2 years later, I received a letter. I was like, oh my God, what I did. So I better study. I want to know what is going on with the tax law. So that's why I'm here actually. And I'm in the income tax program because I was so happy for a refund. It was high. I was like, oh my God, I just signed and that's it. But the VITA program is not like that. We will go and we will guide you like step by step. Like, is this correct? Is this correct? Is this correct? We're going to put the information that you give us, but we're going to make sure that what you give us is correct on your end. Because, like
Mhm.
Brown said, at the end, it's on you, is your return, right? So we want to be safe in both sides. So you can go to our website to schedule an appointment, and we will need IDs, social securities for dependents, and the person that's going to file the return, the income, um if you got like mortgage statement, shall dependent care, all those things that you spend during the year, you can come in and bring them. If you are a homeowner, bring your property taxes bills. If you are a renter, hey, Michigan has that credit. Not all the states have it, but Michigan have it. Take advantage of that. Bring your landlord information, the amount that you have been paying, and his address. Bring your bank information if you want a direct deposit, and if you don't believe in banks, it's okay. We can put check and it will come in your mail. So there's options over there. If you let's say, oh, I only receive SSI, of course you can bring that letter and we will put it as well in your return. Any income that you have, just bring in and we will guide you and tell you how the process will work.
And do people also need to bring information about their utility expenses?
So yes, we Michigan has a home heating credit. So normally in the bill of November, in the second page, it will say your home heating credit is, and it will tell you the amount. So if you can bring that with us, it will be amazing, and we can claim that credit. That credit is not money, so it's not money that's going in your pocket, but it's a credit that is going towards your bill. And that's great because we're in winter, so those bills are coming high. So that will make you save money as well.
That's good to know. Now, a question came in. What if you have switched jobs a lot and you have forgotten exactly who you worked for in January of 2023? What should
Mhm.
you do?
So I know that the IRS keep track of them. So I know that you can go in at irs.gov and you can request your transcripts, at least to have an idea to where it was, and you can contact them before you actually take the transcript, right? I always recommend to try to get it directly before you use the IRS transcript, because the IRS transcript will not give you the state withholding, and it's like, oh, maybe a longer process. So but at least it will give you an idea of how many jobs you had, where it was, because it give you, a little details that maybe it can, oh, I worked there. So you can go ahead and request it through your employer.
That's great to
But if
know.
you don't have it, if you don't have like any way, I don't remember. Oh my God, I didn't know. I don't even know that place. If you don't know that, you can always download your IRS transcripts.
That's great. And people can go to irs.gov and pretty easily find how to request that.
Yes, so they will create their own account, and it will populate
That's
for
great.
this year and the past years as well.
Okay. And I like what you mentioned about going through the process and each section in the tax return and making sure going through it with the person and saying, this is the information that's in here. Is this correct? And so I just want to highlight that for those that are listening. If you're getting your taxes prepared by somebody, you can ask them if they're not providing this service that Wayne Metro provides. You can say, I'd like to go through my tax return so I understand what information has been put in there and why.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would definitely recommend that. All right, so thank you. So now we know what we need to gather, how to qualify for free tax preparation. Are there any new things that we should be aware of? Because every year there are changes to our tax returns, what's eligible, new credits, things like that. So AC, I'm hoping you can walk us through some things we should be aware of.
Yeah, no, I think one of the biggest things that you're gonna start getting this year is a 1099K. That 1099K is a reflection of any transactions in which you receive money from a third party payment settlement organization. When I say that, that's a fancy word for Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, you name it, um, Zelle, all those third party entities are what we call third party settlement organizations, meaning um, you're eligible to receive and send money through that vehicle. Okay, so if you've received more than $600 through any one of those applications, you're going to get a 1099K. Now, that 1099K is taxable income unless there's some exceptions. Okay, it's going to be extremely difficult. This is going to be the first year. Actually, last year was supposed to be the first year, and the IRS delayed it for the very same reasons that we have them today. Is because gifts are non-taxable, and we use these different mechanisms in different ways. Sometimes we use them for business, so a person can cash at me if you're a barber or you're a beautician or you're a nail tech or whatever, your lawn guy, landscaping company, and you pay people pay you via Cash App. Fine. But if you're like me and you have teenage children, they ask you for money. And one of those one of those mechanisms, because we're becoming a cashless society, we send it through Cash App. Well, it is conceivable that I have sent my son $600 throughout the year via Cash App. When you add up all those $20 gifts or $10 here, $20 there, $30 there, it adds up to $600. Well, that $600 for him, part of that may not be taxable. So this is where you're going to want to actually consult with a tax professional, so we could look at those transactions and identify which ones are taxable income, which ones aren't taxable income. That's going to be a huge issue this year. that tax preparers are going to see, because this is going to be the first time many of us have ever received a 1099K. But that's coming from, and you're going to get a 1099K from all of the applications if you use them. So if you use PayPal for business purposes, you're going to get a 1099K from PayPal. If you use Square, you're going to get a 1099K from PayPal. If you use Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, all these applications, and you receive $600 or more from each application, you're going to get multiple 1099Ks, and we're going to have to figure some things out.
I'm nervous.
So, yes. But this is the exact same reason. So if I can just kind of give you some context as to why this is important and why the IRS has chosen to do this, is because in 2020 and 2021, the IRS found out that there were thousands of businesses out here that they knew nothing about. Okay, so we called it the gig economy, the gig workers, the musicians. I'm a musician myself, and I know how I get paid, but I have other mechanisms, in place to keep track of my income. Well, if you're moonlighting, as a musician, or you're just, this is not necessarily a business, but it's a hobby. Hobby income is taxable. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're making cakes and you tell someone you can buy cake from me for $20, just cash at me and I'll make it, well, that's taxable earned income. And if you use one of those third-party settlement organizations, then they got a record of you receiving that payment, receiving those payments. So you're going to have to report that to the IRS unless there's some type of exclusion. So this is going to be a fun time for for American taxpayers, because you're going to start getting those forms here in the next couple of weeks. So that's one thing. That's probably one of the more startling things. We've already talked about in the state of Michigan, the expanded EIC for 2022. I don't know if we want to really talk about the electric vehicles. Some of you may be out there that you can afford that $80,000 Tesla. If that's you, God bless you. But that's also you can qualify for $8,000 $7,500 tax credit. All of the, I kind of talked about this last year, but all of the pandemic expansions of credits, like the child tax credit and all those things, as of today, they've all reverted back to the 2019 totals. So, and I say as of today only because there's a political bill out there. There's a bill out there sitting in the House that may get passed that would expand some of those credits back to the pandemic totals that were denied or that were reverted back to pre-2019. So, for instance, the child tax credit in 2021, you could receive up to, I believe it was $3,600, and so that has gone back down to $2,000 for your tax credit. Probably the most egregious one was the dependent care credit, because if you had a dependent care credit in 2021, that dependent care credit was, I believe, up to $6,000 or something like that. Well, that got reduced back down to pre-2019 totals, which is a whopping $600. So you lost money on that. So just be be cognizant of those things. But the major thing is going to be that 1099K.
That's helpful. One thing that we haven't mentioned in this conversation is, so we're talking about uh, tax preparation now, but when is the first day you can actually e-file your taxes this year?
Yeah, so the IRS put out the press release. Tax filing season opens on January 29th. So January 29th, IRS has stated that they will start accepting 2023 tax returns. I don't, Carla, have you all started preparing tax returns
No,
already?
no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
We're gonna start like the IRS on 29.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Okay. Can I get 1 minute to sit on my soapbox
Go
for
ahead.
just one? Okay. So here's the thing: when you get these advertisements about you being able to prepare your tax return early, and you get these loans, and I know we're going to get into this, but it is almost inconceivable that your last pay stub is going to have all the information that you need in order to file your W-2. It is almost inconceivable that you're going to have all of the documents in order to file early. I'm going to tell you, as a professional entering in my 21st tax season, you want to wait until you get all of your tax information before you file. That's it. That's my rant.
And that was a red flag. We were talking about the red flags. That's another red flag. Pay stub, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
That's right. So wait until January 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't pay for taxes that you don't need to, because if you're e-filing your return, if you're getting it done for free or if you're paying a service to have your taxes done, it does not make your refund come quicker.
No, it does not.
Direct deposit is the quickest way to get your money. And for places that give you money the day you file, that is a loan.
Yes, that is definitely a loan.
So things to be aware of. And so we're gonna throw um, a new question in. I appreciate that Carla shared a personal story um, about how she filed her taxes and was so excited about the refund. She didn't necessarily pay attention to the information and got a letter from the IRS. And so I think those stories, either personally or the client stories, are very helpful because there are folks out there that can relate to those stories. And the information resonates that much more when there's a real situation that folks can relate to. So I'd like to just take a moment and ask if you have a brief story, either personally or a client that you've worked with, that you've been able to help save money or rectify a bad situation. Just anything that you might want to highlight that could be helpful to somebody listening today.
So I had a client that she was employed the first half of the year, and then she had like a really good job, but she only worked like 5 months, and then they let her go, and she was having like a really 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 hard time getting a new job. So she was using her savings, and that for that, it was like so bad for her, because she was like, you know what it is, all these years that I'm like saving, and now in 2 months, because the bills, because the expenses, my kids, the needs are out. Like what I have saved years, it went out in a month. Like how I am going to do, the things. Now I don't have my income. And of course, because she had a really good job before, well, she was over the cap. So she didn't know nothing about Way Metro. So she went because she was looking for help, because she was desperate, and they told them about Way Metro. So she went to us, and once she came to us, she was expecting even to us to ask for a tip to have like a yard. We don't do that. And we were like, no, we just offer our services. We were able to give her a refund only for 6 months at 10,000 back with her child care, with all that stuff. And she was like, oh my God, I never had this back. Of course, because she was like over, she had like more income. So for her was a surprise. But going out of that, talking with our tax preparer, we refer her to our workforce in our innovation lab, that we offer like jobs and all that stuff. And from that day, next week, she had an interview with a job that it was with us. And she was like, she's so graceful about Way Metro, because she was like, all that I saw for all those months, literally in one day, it came out. Like I had like part of my savings back, and I had a job back. So it is like, oh my God, we actually did a good job. We integrated our services, and we provide, a quality um, work for them. So
Yeah.
That's a fantastic story about somebody who wouldn't necessarily qualify for the services, being able to utilize them because their situation changed. And so just to highlight that your organization is available, and to those listening, I encourage you, don't figure out if you're eligible, reach out and see if there's a program that works for you. Let the organization tell you what you're eligible for. Don't, count yourself out. Reach out. And just one quick comment. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We'll try to get to them before we close out here. Go ahead, Mr. Brown. Do you have a story you'd like to share?
Yeah. I was, as Carla was talking, I was thinking like, okay, what's I mean, I call myself the cleanup guy. Most of the time, and really it's people. Here's a quick story. So a lady, a woman came into my office. She hadn't filed taxes in 4 years. Okay, so this was, she needed this year's tax return done and 3 years prior. She hadn't filed her taxes because she was fearful that she owed the IRS. How we do it, I start with the furthest year and I work forward. Now, she owed for 2019, but she hadn't filed 2020, 2021, or 2022. So she owed for 2019, but with all the stimulus money that she didn't get because she did not file in 2020 or 2021, she got enough in refunds to offset her 2019, and she got a refund for 2020, 2021, and 2022. So I tell people, even if you're back behind, the worst people you want to owe is the U.S. government, the IRS. That's the worst. That IRS debt is the worst debt to have, for a bunch of reasons. But it's better to just rip the Band-Aid off, because there's always something you can do. There's always something, a payment arrangement. If you are working with a tax professional that knows the ins and outs of the IRS, knows the laws and knows the programs, he or she will be able to help you navigate and alleviate some of that stress. Every time that happens, when we get done filing tax returns for these people, it's a sigh of relief. Like, it was such a burden on me. I'm so glad I got it off. So in that case, my client was able to, yes, she did owe for 2019, but because all the refunds for 2020 and 2021, 2022, it offset that balance in 2019.
That's a great story. Use the resources out there. They're there to help.
Yep.
Don't assume. I think that's the biggest lesson
Mm-hmm.
that we've learned in much of our conversation today. I'm going to highlight just a couple of things people should be aware of, and then I'm going to ask our guests to share a few takeaways that they want to, really make sure that people take from this discussion. And then we'll wrap up. And I know we're a couple of minutes over, but it's been a great discussion, great information provided. So hopefully that's okay. Thank you for staying with us. So just a couple of things. We mention this every year, but I think it's important to put this reminder out there. Be leery of phone calls that you receive, demanding payment to the IRS. If somebody is saying that you owe the IRS and they're going to call the police on you if you don't give them your credit card information and make a payment, um, that is a red flag. That is a scam. Hang up the phone. The IRS does not make those type of phone calls. You will receive a notification by mail from the IRS that you owe money. And if you have concerns about that notification, you can reach out to the resources that we've mentioned today. We have the contact information in our chat for AC Brown's organization, as well as him directly, and we have the contact information for Wayne Metro. There are resources in your community. You're not alone. And so if you receive a notification, a phone call, or a knock at your door, um, don't worry about them calling the police. If you feel threatened, you should call the police. And definitely, don't give anybody your payment information. Reach out to one of these professionals. And I'll just, again, ask Carla if you could share a couple of key points that you want folks to take away, and then Mr. Brown, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes, of course. I want to say that even any situation that you are going through, if you can get free services, do it. Don't do loans. Just go to the free services. And why I'm saying that, because you are saving money automatically. You're gonna get a refund and you're saving money. Now, if you are out of our cap and all that stuff, that's another story. But if you're under our cap, of course, take advantage of these services, because this is the reason that they are there, because they want you to save. And that's the main thing. $200, $400 for a tax preparer, okay, but the services are there. So save that money and do it. Don't assume that you're going to owe. Don't assume that it's going to be expensive. Just ask to a preparer, to a professional, and they will be able to guide you. I also want to mention, Renee, that we're going to have an event. It's going to be our Super Saturday tax event. It's going to be partnership with our Show Me the Money. It's going to be on a Saturday. It's going to be February 10th, and it's going to be from 11 to 4 p.m. And appointments are open. But if for some reason something happened, you forgot to do your appointment, walk in. We want you guys to get that service. We're going to have financial literacy over there. We're going to have banks over there. If you don't have an account, but you want direct deposit, that's going to be over there. So you can take advantage of all that in the same place. We just want the community to have everything, all the resources on the table, and you decide if you want it or not.
Thank you.
My takeaway is very simple. As Renee was talking about scams, the IRS will not call you. They have all the information that they need. Most people are fearful of garnishments because they've avoided the IRS letters. They've avoided handling the issue. Please do not avoid the IRS. There's free services, free tax advocate services that is offered through the IRS system as well. You do not have to take taxes. You don't have to go through your tax reporting by yourself. As Carla mentioned, Wayne Metro is out here. Other community partners and leaders are out here. I will say this, that identity theft is real. The IRS has you have the mechanism to get your IRS verification PIN. It is a PIN number that only you should get, and it protects your identity from e-file theft. E-file electronic filing theft is real. This year, it actually started last year. You can also get an identity protection PIN for your dependents, because dependent theft is real. They will use it's amazing how people get a hold of your information. All they need is your name, your date of birth, and your social security number. That's all they need. Okay, so protect your identity. The IRS, you can go to the IRS website, irs.gov, and you can get your identity protection PIN today. And you utilize that protection PIN to file your taxes. So when you go see Carla, or you come see me, or whoever you see, you have to have that letter, because the electronic filing system will reject your return if you do not have that PIN. So protect your identity, get the PIN number if you feel comfortable, get the PIN number, protect your identity, and let's have a good tax season.
Thank you. Those are both great points. I'll quickly add, if you have moved since last year and you qualify for the Michigan expansion of the Earned Income Credit, please update your address. We did provide the link in the chat, and we want to make sure that you access those funds and receive them in a timely manner in the month of February. So just a reminder to do that. Also, we didn't mention, but I wanted to make sure just to highlight, if you speak another language, for example, if you're Spanish speaking, and I'm not sure if you service some of the other languages we have here in Southeast Michigan, Carla, but language does not have to be a barrier. There are tax providers that can assist you with your returns. So don't let that get in the way of you accessing your refunds or taking care of any payments that are necessary. There are resources in other languages to assist you. And one other couple of things I want to quickly mention. So February 10th is that Super Saturday in Northwest Activity Center. Go to the site, register, or just show up, because walk-ins will be taken. February 11th, check Communities First Inc., our social media pages. We have an event in Flint where resources will be available. And our next virtual Community Candor session will be February 15th, where we're going to be addressing how trauma impacts our ability to budget and our spending habits, and how we can make some corrections and impact, our financial wellness. Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to fill out that survey. That information is so vital to us being able to provide resources to the community, and you will be entered for a gift card. Only fill out the information that you're comfortable in that survey. And thank you for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you.